Basically, I work for Hot VW's magazine. I need to point out that I'm not a full-time employee. I'm only a contributor. But I put on the Hot VW's drag days, and help put on the bug-ins and the VW classics, and sell parts for oval windows. So if I do good and add it all up, I can pay the rent each month. Periscope is the name came about because when I told my dad I was starting this new company and I was going to put on drag races and off-road races, and he wondered how I was going to keep my head above water. So I decided Periscope's all I needed. And I can just sort of float around just barely under the surface there, you know. Basically, Periscope has morphed over the years. But when I started running the bug-ins on my own, back in the late 70s, early 80s, I started Periscope Productions. And that's what we did, is we put on bug-ins. Then when they closed Orange County Raceway, we had started Bugs for You, which is now BFY Obsolete Parts. And Periscope owned it, so to speak. And then when I sold BFY, then Periscope just brought it home, and we just put on the VW Classics and run ovals only and that kind of thing. Ovals only started when I sold BFY, 1991, and decided I was going to move home, work out of the house, run roughshod over the kids, and so we started Ovals Only out of the garage, and we're still in the garage. Ovals Only is a for fun business. I run it part-time, call back the people that sound like they know what they're talking about, and answer the phone when I'm here. And most of the parts I specialize in are the parts you can't find at the regular stores, whether it's new old stock brackets as opposed to reproduction brackets, or you know, rare taillights and stuff. I collect the parts until I can put together complete sets and take care of the customers as they come along. I stock anything I can find, except I shy away from big heavy metal stuff, sheet metal. It's hard to sell used sheet metal to somebody who can't see it and hold it in their hand. So mostly I stick to the small stuff I can send out in a priority mailbox. The internet has changed the business in that, you know, the places like the Samba, for instance, there's a lot of parts, and eBay, there's a lot of parts that get sold on there, a lot of parts that get bought, you know. It still comes back to lots of people want to touch and feel and smell the part they want to buy, so, you know, you buy it on eBay and take it out and sell it at Pomona. It works both ways. Most of the stuff that really happened in an enthusiast level with Volkswagens happened in the 60s. You know, it took the 50s to talk people into buying them, and the people that bought them in the 50s were ex-servicemen that had one over there, or Germans that moved here and knew they were good, etc. But then in the 60s, then it was the college kids, and everybody bought one because they were easy to fix, and, you know, or you had a buddy that could work on them, and they got good gas mileage, etc. So suddenly there was a lot of them around, and it was just a natural progression that people would make accessories and parts and things. When we first started, there weren't any auto houses or you know, MPs. There was MP, and MP was a big deal, but they were, you know, a company in Riverside, which is at that point in time could have been in New York from where I was. But you know, the big people were MG Mitten and Wilhelm B. Hahn and guys like that were sports car accessory books that had like one page in there you could look at of Volkswagen stuff, or you looked in the foreign car guides or in the early Hot VW's magazines for stuff. And then it wasn't long in the mid-60s when there was 7 Auto House stores in Orange County, you know, and 2 Johnny's Speed and Chromes and half a dozen other things. So it really built up in the 60s, and there was lots of stuff for the cars. The dealerships were selling lots of cars, and, you know, it was a different thing. Now it's all enthusiasts, and Volkswagens can be just like a street rod. You can have a $10,000 motor hooked up to a $6,000 tranny and a car you spent 25 grand on. So it's a different thing today. got interested in the beginning because at the club level we would have rallies and stuff. And I liked making the rally instructions and driving around and figuring out where they went and stuff. And I was friends with all the local, I'm the one that would go and get somebody to be a sponsor and give us a free something to give away at the rally. So when the bug-in started, I went and met with Vic Wilson, who was putting on the bug-in as representing the local club. We were looking to be host club or something like that, and just started a relationship with Vic at the first bug-in. I think I just got him 6 guys to come down and help park cars in the morning, and then it just evolved from that until I worked for him for 10 years or so, and then eventually I took over the bug-in and just ran it myself. And then when the raceway closed, we decided to start the VW Classic, which is a static event without drag racing, and we've been putting that on for 22 years. The last bug-in was pretty impressive, and then the last bug-in we did just this year was even more impressive. Everybody came out of the woodwork for that. The best part of the last bug-in was all the old guys that showed up.
Who was that?
Well, the old racers, the owners of the old companies, the Lee Laytons and the Ken Lowrys and the Tom Leibs from SCAD and all those kind of people that showed up for that event, and the old racers themselves, the Chris Klingemans and Daryl Vitones and Daryl's dad Joe Vitone, who started MP, and all those guys were there. It was pretty exciting. Drenkefer Cup started as about 4 years ago now, as just an idea to brighten up the drag race format at the local races and give something else for the people to watch. And it's a special class. Usually we get anywhere from 4 or 5 to we've had as many as 20 cars at a race. The cars are cow-look style cars with very high performance drivetrains. They are cars that we judge with 100-point possible car show judging. And then they also make 2 or 3 passes which are averaged for their ET. And we have a software little program thing that one of the racers made for us so we can plug in their points. Basically what it does is it takes the fastest car and gives the fastest car the same number of points for the speed as the best looking car got, and takes the slowest car and gives that the same number of points as the ugliest car got, for lack of a better term, and then interpolates, I think is the correct term, so that it's judging the cars basically 50% on how good you look and 50% on how fast you go. And most of the cars that we get are 90-something point cars, and run anywhere from, the slowest car we've had this year is probably in the 13s, and the quickest car was a 1095 at Sacramento. Well, I graduated from high school in 1966, and I moved to Corona Del Mar the same year. And so that's the year I joined the Volkswagen Club, 1966. I think that's the oldest membership card I got. And at that time, in Southern California, there were 20 dealers in Orange County, and there was a Volkswagen Club in almost every town. There was the Santa Ana Club, and DKP was in Anaheim, and De Guggenheim was in the other part of Anaheim, and we would have rallies that would gather 200 and 300 cars to a Saturday night rally because there were so many Volkswagens around. I mean, every college parking lot was half full. So it was a lot different market back then. It happens here. And it's like people are always complaining about how many people live here, how many this, it's so nice here, lots of people come here. And they sold more Volkswagens here, and there's more Ferraris and Lamborghinis and everything else here per square inch too. And all of the major companies, I mean the dune buggy craze started in somewhere between Santa Monica and Costa Mesa, with guys that were driving to Mexico, and MP started in Riverside, RevMaster, all the early companies were here. Scat's still here. And all the companies now that are big, from, CB Performance to MP to Scat to all of those guys, they're all mostly here too. And that's because there's more cars here. And there's more people that, play with the cars here, and the weather's nicer, they last longer. You know, don't hate me if you ain't me. Whatever kind of thing. But